Houston Maritime Attorney. Houston Marine Best Injury Attorney at Cobos Law is pleased to assist injured Marine personnel in obtaining compensation. Every business has its own risks, and the maritime sector is no exception. Seamen, in fact, operates in one of the most dangerous industries on the planet. When sailors are on the boat, they are at risk of work-related injuries. The courts are aware of this. Furthermore, Houston personal injury law firm is always fighting for injured sailors. Maritime law gives injured marine workers the right to receive the compensation they need for any work-related problems. Moreover, these rules serve as the basis for all harm to sailors. If you are injured at sea, it is important to contact a Houston Maritime Lawyer, who is fully aware of these rules. If you have been injured in the maritime business, contact your personal injury lawyers, and let them fight for you. Marine law and maritime injury cases? The Admiralty Act exists to help injured sailors recover from work-related injuries. Without these restrictions, injured sailors would be obliged to work on their own to alleviate any hardships they may have had to endure at work. When a marine crew becomes ill or injured, the shipowner is responsible for compensating them. This is what maritime advocates call maintenance and treatment. Basically, this means that the employer must cover the cost of the illness until the employee is fully recovered. This commitment is seen by the courts as the duty of any employer on their ship. In addition, sailors are entitled to full pay for the cruise period during which they were ill or injured. In most cases, they specify the amount of unpaid wages in their employment contract. High Sea Death Act? The best working in the commercial marine industry is risky. The death of a worker can sometimes be due to negligence or wrongdoing of the employer or coworker. In the event of the death of a loved one on a cruise ship at least 3 nautical miles off the U.S. coast, the spouse, parent, child, or other dependent relative may be entitled to fair compensation for the missed salary, funeral expenses, and counseling costs. On high sea law, for a claim to be successful, a maritime attorney must prove negligence on the part of the shipowner or coworker. Even if the deceased played a role in his or her own death, compensation may still be appropriate. Merchant Marine Act? If you work for a company on the ground and have work-related injuries, state workers' compensation rules apply. This is not the case when you work offshore. The Jones Law, often referred to as the Commercial Maritime Law, is a federal law adopted in 1920 that governs maritime trade in the ports of the United States. However, part of the law allows marine workers to sue their employer for benefits for work-related injuries caused by their negligence. It doesn't matter if you are a captain or a companion, a deckhand, a cook or a bartender. You may be eligible for benefits if you dedicate at least 30% of your working hours to shipping operations while on the water and experience injuries. This includes lost wages, medical bills, and compensation for pain and distress. Offshore workers may be subject to punitive damages in some cases, if the employer establishes intentional and unintentional negligence towards their safety. A qualified lawyer under the Jones Act can create an attractive case for you and get you the money you deserve. Limitation of Liability Act and your marine injury lawyer? Limit liability law protects shipowners from being forced to pay for injuries or deaths in excess of the value of their ship. This could be bad news for the plaintiff. All claims are processed whenever the shipowner files a liability limit complaint. This suspension will remain in place until the hearing is consolidated into a single proceeding in which individuals with rival claims may be forced to accept a pro-rated settlement. Furthermore, limited liability claims do not allow jury trials. Some personal injury lawsuits, thankfully, are exempt. Among them are claims for salaries due to sailors, as well as claims for maintenance and treatment. If a limit liability claim has been filed to defend your claim, you will need an experienced marine injury lawyer. Cobos Law Firm, one of the largest firms on the market, is located in Houston. Compensation Act for Longshoremen and Harbor Workers? Jones Law can be compared to LHWCA. This allows marine workers to make up for lost income, medical care and occupational rehabilitation, due to injuries sustained while on the job. Whether workers are covered by the Jones Act or the LHWCA is determined solely by their employment relationship with the ship. Jones Law protects sailors. LHWCA protects longshoremen, dock workers, port construction workers and others. If you are a longshoreman or a port worker, Houston is the best place to get help from a skilled marine injury lawyer. The marine law firm at Cobos Law Firm in Houston, Texas, can help you get the right compensation. History of Admiralty and Maritime Law. Admiralty law, commonly known as maritime law, regulates the occurrence of ships as well as the behavior of ships. Many countries have their own laws governing sailors, passenger transport and maritime business. Houston Maritime Attorney, on the other hand, multilateral agreements established a number of internationally recognized areas of Admiralty law. Maritime Law Houston. The area of the Houston Law Office is set to deal with an assortment of maritime law matters. Houston office is situated in the biggest monetary focus in the Gulf Coast area, which likewise is known for the Port of Houston Transport Channel. Maritime law attorneys give insight in a wide assortment of cases, including freight carriage questions, oil slicks, and water contamination claims. The Lanier Law Firm was among the main law offices to record a legal claim against significant organization BP later the Deepwater Horizon oil rig blast and resulting oil slick in 2010. Maritime law attorneys recorded this claim to address a few hundred customers, whose jobs were impacted by the oil slick. Maritime attorneys give bountiful information on maritime legal matters. Texas ports handle around 565 million tons of freight. The Port of Houston, Port of Texas City, and Port of Galveston all assume direct parts in the economy of both the state and the country. It does tremendous measures of imports and products go through these crucial seaports. Maritime attorney, maritime injury lawyer. The obligation has been taken by manager to limit hazard of injury. While work is chipping away at boats and apparatuses is intrinsically actual work, and injuries can and do occur. Assuming that you have encountered an inland or seaward injury, the maritime lawyers can help. Maritime attorney is Master Jones Act attorneys, and it has helped many customers place Jones Act claims throughout the long term, and get the pay they need to guarantee their families are insured monetarily. Some common offshore injuries. The list of injuries normal among seamen and other maritime laborers is long. However, coming up next are the absolute most genuine injuries that can occur while working at sea. Broken finger, hand, arm, leg, foot, or back consumes. Compartment condition, squashed finger, hand, arm, leg, or foot. Profound cut or cut, suffocating or close suffocating. Harmed back and additionally neck, including herniated plates and strains. Loss of appendage. Lung issues, including pleural disease. Torn muscles, tendons, or ligaments. Poisonous compound openness. Traumatic brain injury. These injuries can end the vocation of a mariner, seaman, or other maritime laborer. Because of the actual requests of working at sea, when you can't work, you and your family could experience genuine monetary issues. Assuming you have been harmed, you don't need to sit tight for your insurance agency to settle your case, or for your boss to give you the compensation you deserve. You really want a group of expert nearby Houston maritime attorneys to battle for your freedoms, and get you what you really want for a full recuperation. Why maritime accident is different. A one-of-a-kind arrangement of laws applies to maritime injuries. There are a few laws may apply in a maritime case that don't have any significant bearing to accidents ashore. Once in a while alluded to as Chief of Naval Operations Office laws, they are intended to secure explicit circumstances and representatives. A few injuries that happen dockside, as while dumping container ships at Port Houston might fall under maritime law. Why hire a maritime lawyer? We realize that maritime laws are perplexing. Let Attorney Christ and his group assist you with understanding the legitimate ideas, and walk you through the cycle to get all the compensation you deserve. This could be what gets you paid for the time you missed, and ready to cover the hospital expenses that keep on pouring in. Working with a lawyer without maritime can mean overlooking cash. Be that as it may, at the Christ Law Firm, Houston Maritime Accident Lawyers have broad involvement with this field, and don't leave the customers alone bamboozled. The group of grant-winning lawyers has the information, experience, and assets to win even the most difficult maritime cases. Regardless of whether the seaman harmed on a boat at sea, on an oil rig, or at Port Houston, it has an organization of the best clinical, designing, and maritime industry specialists in the country. Maritime has pleased on their collaboration and has history of addressing individuals harmed while working in the perilous maritime industry.